Okay, so welcome to today's explainer. I want you to imagine the ultimate locked room mystery. But instead of some locked room in a dusty old manor house, the room is actually an entire, massive luxury train. And the locked door? A solid mountain. Today we're unraveling a story that has literally baffled minds for well over a century. It's this wild tale where industrial engineering collides head-on with the completely inexplicable.
Seriously, can a train just vanish into thin air? I mean, it goes against absolutely everything we know about physics, right? We aren't talking about a missing person here or some lost artifact. We're talking about a massive early 20th century machine made of tons and tons of heavy metal roaring along steel tracks. So how does something that gigantic just cease to exist?
Let's start with part one, the maiden voyage.
Picture this. It's June 14th, 1911. We're in Rome, Italy, over 110 years ago. The Zanetti was basically a first-of-its-kind luxury train. And because it was the grand premiere of this super high-end experience, the train company did something completely unprecedented. They actually handed out exclusive free tickets to this elite group of wealthy folks. And it wasn't just a free ride. These passengers were treated to complimentary gourmet food and drinks for the whole trip. It was entirely designed to be this carefree, lavish celebration, taking a highly anticipated scenic route right through the absolutely breathtaking Italian landscape.
106. That is the exact number of souls on board that train. You had 100 wealthy passengers, just enjoying the ride of a lifetime, being attended to by 6 crew members. 106 people who waved goodbye to the crowds in Rome, fully expecting a perfectly picturesque holiday.
Moving on to part two, into the tunnel. As the train chugged along, everything was going perfectly to plan. The passengers were so excited for the main highlight of the route, which was navigating through the Lombardy Mountain Tunnel. Now, this was a massive passage, stretching a full kilometer right through solid rock. So the train entered the tunnel, and it never came out the other side. I mean it. Spectators literally stood there and watched the back of the train disappear into the pitch-black darkness of that 1 kilometer tunnel. They waited for it to pop out on the other side. And they waited. And they waited. It simply didn't come out. Obviously, word spread like wildfire, and the police launched a frantic, super methodical investigation. I mean, they did a complete sweep of the entire 1 kilometer tunnel. They conducted this desperate search, checking for any hidden crevices, deep drops, or sinkholes, anywhere a train might have crashed or somehow gotten stuck. But you know what? The authorities found absolutely zero trace of the engine or the 3 passenger cars. It was just completely gone. Which brings us to part 3, the 2 survivors. Right when investigators thought they had hit a total dead end with this empty tunnel, a completely shocking news report comes in. 2 passengers from the Zanetti train actually turned up alive. But get this, they turned up in Mexico. Investigators obviously rushed to question them, and their testimony was just eerie. They said that right as the train was approaching the tunnel entrance, they heard this bizarre, mysterious noise and saw thick, white smoke totally swallowing the train. The train was moving slow enough that they panicked and jumped off. They literally told authorities they hit the ground, fainted, and then inexplicably woke up totally unharmed in Mexico. They had absolutely no idea how they crossed the globe. And yes, psychological evaluations confirmed they were of completely sound mind, which just made the whole thing terrifyingly complex. So let's do some chilling math here. 104. You take the 106 people originally on board, subtract the 2 survivors in Mexico, and authorities were left with exactly 104 missing passengers, totally unaccounted for. With absolutely zero leads, investigators eventually made the drastic call to just completely seal up the Lombardy Tunnel. Now let's look at part 4, a time travel loop. With normal physics failing to explain this, people obviously started looking toward the paranormal. Rumors started swirling that the train got snatched by supernatural forces, or maybe it got caught in a tear in the fabric of time. And then these global sightings started happening. Sometime later, this utterly bizarre incident went down at a Mexican hospital. A doctor admitted exactly 104 patients, all at the exact same time. These folks were completely disoriented. They were all dressed up in neat, old-fashioned suits, looking like wealthy elites. They all spoke Italian, and not a single one of them had any memory of how they got to Mexico. But right before this wild news could spread worldwide and get officially linked to the Zanetti, both the doctor and all 104 patients supposedly just vanished without a trace. Over the decades, people reported seeing the Zanetti train in places like Russia, Germany, Mexico, and Ukraine.
But the timeline is completely absurd. Think about it. The train disappears in Italy in 1911, but there are records suggesting it was sighted in Mexico way back in the 1840s, and then way later it supposedly pops up in Ukraine in 1955. This massive, out-of-order chronological loop is what really fueled all those time travel theories.
Let's just focus on that first contradiction for a second. How on earth could local people in Mexico in the 1840s witness the sudden appearance of a train that wouldn't even be built until 71 years later in 1911? The stories claim it appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as fast, leaving these 19th century locals totally bewildered by this weird futuristic machine.
Now let's jump to 1955 and see how this builds the legend up even more. Late at night at this tiny little railway station in Ukraine, the station master claimed he saw a train pull up that was definitely not on any schedule. It had exactly one engine and 3 cars, which perfectly matches the Zanetti. But before he could alert the local authorities, the train just departed and vanished. Oh, and investigators later realized a super creepy detail. That specific Ukrainian station was built directly over a war graveyard. So of course, this sparked a whole new theory that the train wasn't just traveling through time, but maybe it was actually traversing the underworld itself.
Finally, part 5, the truth behind the myth. Okay, let's take a deep breath and step back into actual reality for a second. We've got ghost trains, time travel, vanishing hospital patients, the whole shebang. But what happens when we look at the Zanetti train through the lens of historical fact? Well, it all points to an urban legend. An urban legend is basically modern folklore, a story that gets circulated as true even when there's a profound lack of evidence. Over time, historians have categorized the Zanetti train not as some unsolved police case, but really as a famous, super captivating piece of Italian cultural folklore. Because here's the thing, despite those incredibly specific details, like the exact date of June 14th, 1911, or the exact count of 106 people, there are literally 0 official police investigation documents regarding a missing train from that time. Actually, scratch that. There's not even recorded corporate or historical proof that the Zanetti train was ever even built in the first place. And what about the Lombardy Tunnel? Well, historical records do show the tunnel was completely destroyed and sealed up, but it definitely wasn't because of a paranormal disappearance. It was actually due to heavy bombings during World War II. So the hard facts tell us it's just an incredibly elaborate urban legend. And yet this story just keeps getting told and retold, capturing imaginations all over the world. I mean, the whole idea of slipping through a crack in time is just something that fundamentally fascinates us, isn't it? It leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. Do you believe time travel is truly possible? Because whether the Zanetti train was a real machine actually swallowed by time, or just a brilliant story crafted by human imagination, it absolutely takes our minds on an incredible journey. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope you found it as fascinating as I did. Keep questioning the world around you.